Biddly boat. Yes, yeah. Here we go. There ain't nobody down round here. You know what time it is. Get that budget in and on and over here. Put up a bit of a struggle there to get him in and on and over here, but we've got him in. We've got him on. We had to move back to get his greatness in, and we had to shift the cat out the way to get him in and on and over here. We do have definitely one of the cats in here, so anything could kick off at any moment. But I've shut the door because the last time I left it open for him to get in and out, I instantly got a text off Lockie. Lockie Leeds, go subscribe to him. Instantly got a text saying he can't deal with the door being open during a quick ship vid, which I understand because, you know, sends people's OCD into overdrive. And I understand it did myself. I don't like it myself, but shit is as shit does. We try to look after the cats the best we can. But that's not why we're here. I've got a couple of shout outs to do. I need to shout out to Mark Bradley for the crazy super chat last night. Proper appreciate you, brother, during the live. Shout out to R. Sripper for handing out memberships like he's Santa Claus. And shout out to Render LUFC. That's Mark Bradley, R. Sripper, and Render LUFC. Smash a like for us, guys. And if you could all subscribe, it really helps the channel grow. The record is 741 likes, and we are getting nowhere near it since a couple of days ago when we got 741. Also have to address the elephant in the room, or the hippo in the room, or the walrus, depending on how you view it. Somebody kept saying, Andy Rowe, to be specific, kept saying that I was farting all the way through my live yesterday, which I can assure you is not the case. I have a serious amount of control, both on and off the field, but particularly in the YouTube game, I maintain only audio that comes through the throat. So there might be the odd burp or belch, granted, during the lives when I'm drinking booze, but again, it comes from within the throat, doesn't it? Or certainly passes through the throat. There's no foul play going on here. I think it's this that he's referencing, but nobody do it how he does it. Shit is as shit does. The clock watchers will be going mental, but the clout chasers here. Newcastle have made an informal bid of 40 million for Muniz, Rodrigo Muniz. So I'm not really sure how that even works, how you can go about making an informal bid. It's either a bid, a formal 40 million bid, or it's not. I don't really understand how you can informally offer somebody 40 million. It's like, I informally would like to informally let you know that I've smashed into the back of your car on the motorway. Feels formal. I don't know whether it's woof or not, or whether we just keep moving. It's a little bit concerning because I do want to get that striker in, or the winger. I know Rodrigo Muniz is not the winger, but, you know, we've obviously lost out on Paxo stuffing, rather. We've got the peri-peri sauce, which we need to talk about in a moment. But yeah, I think it's a bit of a wild move for Newcastle, really. I know they're probably in a bit of a panic state about Isaac and stuff, and they're not really sure what the future holds for they're not having the best window, I don't think, at the moment. I might have been flippant in that. I might just be overly analysing the Isaac moment. They might have had an awesome window, but it don't feel like particularly it's not going their way, I wouldn't say. But again, I might be wrong. I'm not a Newcastle fan. As everybody knows, I'm a Sunderland fan. I'm a Marseille fan. Who else was I a fan of yesterday? I can't remember. It was Marseille, Sunderland, and then it was... I can't even remember who else I'm a fan of. But other than that, it's Leeds. But if you're watching yesterday, let us know who the other club was. Might have been Roma. We're talking about Roma, which we'll be talking about again today. Rafinha, we all know, apparently spoke to Paxo Stuffing trying to get him in there. Well, apparently so did Peri-Peri. He spent some time on phone with him. It is concerning with Paxo Stuffing how gutted Lockie was in our live yesterday about Paxo Stuffing, and he did keep bringing him up by accident, but he did also, there's a mint video that I suggest you go check out for Lockie's channel with other options, but I think he's had his heart set on the fact that Paxo Stuffing was going to be one hell of a signing, so it is a shame, but there is other options. But they all spoke to him, apparently. Robbie Evans, obviously Underwood was speaking to him, they all had a call, even Parag stepped in. You can only assume not to the fullest of Parag Marath's possibilities, because when Parag steps in, we all know he gets the job done. But they all went on a call with him. Farker spoke directly with him. He just wanted to go to Marseille, didn't he? So he's gone to Marseille. Ultimately, he'll be gone next year, I would imagine. I think there's going to be a term in his contract, and I think he will be looking for a move out. Everybody also moaning about me accidentally suggesting about Harrison, as though I'm trying to make a case for Harrison staying at the club. I'm not trying to suggest that Harrison is in any way the type of player that we're, over Paxo stuff in that we're potentially bringing in. But that is not what I'm doing whatsoever. What I'm trying to suggest is we currently don't have the player in the door. You all want to sell the players before the players in the door, don't we? But ultimately, as the squad stands right now, we are better for having a player in the squad, and that player in the squad is currently Jack Harrison. Soon as we get somebody better in, I mean, Jack Harrison's decent. I don't care what anybody says. He's some form of a Premier League player, and he will not embarrass us. I don't think he'll be the main stay. I don't think he'll be the left winger. I think it'll be Nonto or Ramazani. They've got James on right currently. We need another winger. If Harrison is to hang around, I'm totally fine with that. I don't think he's going to stink the place out. Obviously, I want a top winger in. It'd be amazing. Jack Harrison isn't that, but I don't think the squad. I don't think it's to the squad's demise if he hangs around a little bit, for a season while we're on the way back to the Prem. I said earlier, a couple of weeks ago, if we'd have signed him, if we'd have just got Jack Harrison in for 5 million or whatever, and everybody just thought, and there was no history towards him whatsoever, you just think, well, it's just a signing, and it was just another winger in the door. We've lost Solomon, you bring Jack Harrison in as the fourth choice, then go out and try and get Paxo's stuff in. If we'd have got him in and kept Harrison, I just think it puts the whole shitstorm to bed, basically. We have been linked, and you never know to what extent, with a bloke called Ricardo Sottil and a bloke called Mika Gotts. Now, I'm pretty sure Lockie mentioned Mika. I think it's Mika Gotts in his video yesterday, but I might be wrong. Zlatan is a fan of Sottil, which will do me, sir. That will do me fine, sir. Sottil plays for Fiorentina. He can play anywhere across the line, but he's mainly a left winger. He was loaned out to AC Milan last year. 26 years old. He played under 21 level for Italy. And you all know where I'm at with the under 20 levels. The levels of the under 21s, lol. It's not anybody that's watched the channel for the past few months is more than well aware. I think it's more the comments of people suggesting that players are ripping it up in the under 21s and then trying to make a case for them getting in the first team on the basis that they play well for, I don't know, maybe Spain's under 21s, and then, gets the odd tap in against what looks like some 15-year-old Sunday League lads. But shit is as shit does. That Mika Gotts, he's got a good name. He's got God in his name. So if he's anywhere near godly, then we definitely want him in, don't we? He's Belgian. He's only 20. He's at Ajax, and we all know that Ajax can certainly create great players, can't they, to be fair, over years. Again, anywhere across front line, mainly on left wing. Both players are valued under £10 million on the transfer market. So maybe not the splash of the cash that we're all sort of like looking forward to. They're obviously not holding the same amount of value as Paxo Stuffing was. It's interesting that there is a big dynamic between why only Leeds and Marseille were in for Paxo Stuffing when he is so like well thought of. And I know people sort of briefly talk about his injuries and stuff, or he's currently injured, and I don't know. But I do want to splash the cash on a top winger, but ultimately we've done really well with the bargains thus far, haven't we? So if we can get a bargain in. And I like the idea. Certainly, I don't want to bang on about Harrison again, but if we were to keep Harrison in, I don't mind the idea of spending sort of 10 million on a young lad like Gotts, and or players that can show that they can do bits like Sottil's shown over the years, a bit older, 26, but we're not necessarily reliant on him. It's still exciting signings, isn't it? Whether or not it turns out to be an excellent signing or not is open for. Well, I wouldn't say open for discussion, but it's open for discussion, and it's just watching them perform week in, week out, in it. And if they can do that, then you've either got a bargain on your hands, or you've just been, you've got an Anthony type signing, Jadon Anthony, that is, in championship level, where you just go, well, it was no harm to the squad, was it, getting a young lad in? Not that, you know what I'm saying? Jadon Anthony's not a young lad, but Mika Gotts is. Do you know what I mean? So it'd just be interesting to see where we go with that. Again, not going to be breaking the bank for these players, I don't imagine. Cody drama, the drama that just keeps on giving. They can't get away from him for some reason. He's apparently getting chased up by Crystal Palace. It's a really weird one with him. Farke spoke really well of him. Every manager prior to him spoke well of him. And I know I bang on about youngsters, but it's so difficult. I mean, the young players, they need to have an edge. I mean, Farke actually mentioned about him, that it's best he moves on because he wants to play every minute of every game. But ultimately, so does the 27-year-old reliable professional footballer that ultimately has so much more experience. And people say, how do you get the experience? Well, you get the experience by being a far better footballer. You can't be just decent or more skillful than, say, a Luke Ayling from 5 years ago. You know, you can't just be more skillful or embarrass him every now and again in training or whatever. It really is more. There's more to professional football and getting wins and you know, bunking down and knowing when to go, when not to go. You know, game management, the whole cabal. Do you know what I mean? Same with Joseph. You can't just sort of like show a bit of promise and then demand game time. It's like you do have to take your chances. And most youngsters come into the side when they do kick on and do really well. They come in and do really well. You can't just sort of say, oh, give me a bit more time, give me a bit more time. These managers don't have time. Gone are them days where you can go, well, I think you will get to the top level. Also, you know, they're not promised to get to the top level anyway. So it's not like, you know, you sort of referencing like, I don't know, Rooney or Ronaldo when he came to Man United and weren't particularly good. Rooney were good soon as he started, wasn't he? But Ronaldo were a bit all over the shop. But, you know, the managers, the coaches obviously clearly knew he'd get to that next level, that insane level, which obviously we're not suggesting that Cody Drama or Joseph would ever get to that level. There's no players are getting to that level. But, you know, your Messi's come on and scored, don't they? And with 15 minutes, they've only played 15 minutes, they scored. I don't know. I'm not comparing these players to that, but you do have to come on and show. You have to be so much better. I think it's Gerrard, funnily enough, talking about when he got into the side and how we were like, I had to be so much better than my rivals. I couldn't just be, you know, show loads of promise. I'm sure Gerrard in training looked a boss, but was he better than the players on the pitch? It's like he come on and then he was an absolute beast, wasn't he? It's like, you can't get me out the side. Give me the chance. You can't get me out the side. And that's ultimately how it has to be. Gone off on a bit of a tangent there, a bit of a rant. I do apologise. The Roma striker, this one didn't last long. We've already been told that that's really unlikely. Although, having said that, we got told that Paxo stuffing were really unlikely. But having said that, we didn't get Paxo stuffing in the Manny Pacquiao. So this is kind of a bit more what I'm used to. So obviously, Artem Dojbik, 12 goals for Roma. He's worth about 30 million last season. Sort of more used to this, aren't we, where the nonsense rumour comes out and then we've been told it's not nonsense and then the day after it's nonsense. They're clearly just struggling to find articles today, which I'm sort of in between thinking that's a good thing and a bad thing, because last year I thought, well, that's a good thing that they're struggling, because then we just, next thing you know, we're announcing a player's signed, aren't we? But this year it has not been quite as in the shadows, as it hasn't been quite the dark night. Everything's been a little bit more public, but I do think we've handled everything really well. We just don't want to slip up too many more times in terms of a winger or top or a striker, even if Rodrigo Muniz, I know he splits opinion a little bit, to be fair, across the channel, but I mean, I would be up for that signing. It would be a good signing. Because it would get slightly worrying. We've had such a good window thus far. If we could just add to it, if we could add the cherry on top and really get something really exciting in, I don't know. That's the next step in it that we need to take. Check this out for an headline. Brazil in complete agreement about Calvin Phillips. So I was like, what? Like, what does that mean? Do you know what I mean? So you're instantly clicking on that, thinking like Brazil, we've had loads of links. Obviously, Rodrigo Muniz, Paxo stuffing, peri sauce is indoor. So I thought, what on earth can this be? What the hell can it be? Well, it turns out it's Alan Brazil. And he's talking about Calvin Phillips. I mean, come on. Alan Brazil saying Brazil in complete agreement about Calvin Phillips. I thought, what have Brazil got? Like, what? Like, are we all in some sort of contingency or something? But yeah, I mean, I think he's drunk again. He's saying that he'd be a really solid signing for us, and Leeds needs someone that they can trust in the Premiership. Long staff. They need someone with loads of experience. Long staff. I think my man Alan Brazil, or the Brazil, has forgot that we've already filled out our midfield. So I'd leave Brazil to find us another Paxo stuffing winger, to be honest, as opposed to listening to Alan Brazil. Let's go out and get another Brazilian. Lockie mentioned a Brazilian yesterday. Can't remember his name. Let's go out and get that fella, as opposed to listening to Alan Brazil telling us to sign Calvin Phillips. But I'm going to shall I put it in title about Brazil? Brazil in agreement about Phillips. Yeah. Like, subscribe, tell a friend to tell a friend. Appreciate every which one here. Mark Bradley, Arse Ripper, and Render LUFC. Take care. Peace.
Boom.